16th, 2022. Welcome to Technology Drop-In Thursdays, the third last one, I think, week and a half for a while. So today, I just one thing I wanted to point out is while I was traveling on my vacation, I was in, and we talked about this once before, I was in a place that had no cell coverage or very poor cell coverage. So the vehicle I was renting had Apple CarPlay in it, which is great, uses Apple Maps, which is great. But as soon as the internet cuts out, so does your access to those maps and stuff. So I've mentioned this in the past. I'm just going to mention it again. But make sure when you go traveling, you can download locally the Google Maps, to Google Maps, the areas that you're going into. Take a look. We've talked about it before. I've shown you the demo on that, so I'm not going to repeat it. But if you're doing any traveling and stuff, highly recommend it because, like I said, we got to sections where all of a sudden the internet was just gone. I had no cell at all, and it was great because I had Google Maps. I had downloaded all this stuff. I typically use Google Maps, and it was great. I could still navigate to wherever I needed to go. But if I had been dependent on, like I said, the Apple Maps, I would have been pooched. So that's something that you might want to remember for your vacations. And it also works like for even for walking maps and stuff like that. If you happen to be in a city or something like that, and you're just doing walking, all that stuff is still there. What you lose is the ability to look up information about the restaurant. What kind of reviews does it have? The photos that go with it. You lose all that, but you can still get there. So that's a good thing to remember. Earlier this week, I did a session for Edmonton Federation of Community Leagues on how to take advantage of Google Workspace for nonprofits. So if you are involved with a nonprofit and you notice that they're not using Google Workspace, there's a video there you can just send them to. They can look at it and learn all sorts of cool things about why they should be using Workspace, which you guys already know. Okay, let's talk about Word. Microsoft Word, I'm going to just pop over here into my Windows machine, has a new version. And basically it just looks like new lipstick more than anything else. But up in the top right-hand corner, you'll see this little announcement piece that should be showing up in Word. And when you click on it, it'll tell you about this new version. And there's a little on-off switch there. So I just turned it on this morning. Really, the icons look a little bit different at this point. I don't know what else is new. I haven't read through all this stuff because, quite frankly, it should be pretty much the same thing. But if you want to try it and see what else pops up there, by all means, that's where you can start. I was thinking about early on in my career, I used to use Word a lot, and I know a lot of people still do. And there's a couple of cool functions that people aren't aware of that will make those long documents really, really easy to do. If you haven't started using the heading 1, heading 2, the styles and stuff like that, go into Microsoft Stream, look up for my session called Must-Have Skills for Microsoft Word. That is something that you should be familiar with and should be making use of, because going in and reformatting documents takes no time at all when you're working with styles. But also the other thing I wanted to show here that I didn't show there is how you can jump from one section of the document to another. So for example, I'm working up on here. I've got this section called Sherlock Holmes, I'm going to go down to the bottom here on page, let's go down to this page. Sure, page 3 is good enough here. So under retirement, hey, what a coincidence. So let's say that there's stuff in that first page and there's stuff here and I want to kind of copy it back and forth. Instead of scrolling back and forth, if you go under view, there's a thing here called split. And basically it draws a line here that says, hey, here's the first part of the document, here's another part, and I can scroll to any other part in the document. So I have basically almost like 2 windows open into the exact same document. And from there, I can start moving stuff around. So I'm going to take this line here just for the heck of it. I'm going to cut it. And I'm going to go down into the retirement here, and I'm just going to paste it. There it is. So it's a really great way of moving files or text back and forth. What's also really cool, and this is recent because, well, recent as in I haven't seen it for a while, but if I take this piece from part 1 and click and drag it down to part 2, it automatically moves it down there. So it removes it from the beginning, paste it down there. This is a great tool when you're working on these long documents. And what I used to do is just dump everything, like all the information and resources in the document, and then I would start organizing it. This is perfect for that kind of scenario. We can go in and do that. You can remove your split by just going remove split, or you can just double click on the line here. You can also create a new window. And this is kind of neat because not only, let's see this, hang on, see if I can show it to you here without this. Come on, be nice. I got full screen, so it's playing bad with me. But there's actually two windows here. You can't see them both, but they're both there. Let me go here. Can I see it there? Whoa, way too many windows open. Anyways, imagine, if you will, there's two windows there, but I can have this in also a bigger size. I can have it organized a bit differently, and I can still be having those two windows open up in the same way. So sometimes when I'm organizing stuff, I might want one to be really big font and the other window to be smaller font, just so I can see how it kind of lays out and stuff. So it does allow you to do that with those extra windows. All I have to do is just close the window. So I'm going to use Control W there. Shut that one window. Here's my other window back where we were before. Another cool function is the ability to do specific selection. So you'll notice if I go into here, so there's that Sherlock Holmes here. Let me just turn on the invisible so you can see what's going on here. But this is one piece of text. So if I highlight this and go down here, it's going to highlight all of it because this is all one paragraph, right? Now, when I've got stuff in columns, it's really easy to go ahead and select this and just say, I want this column of information. I click and drag because I'm just selecting the columns. But if you use tabs like we've done in here, these are all tabs. If I want this information there, if I try to select it, it goes down the line because it's treating this as a sentence. So it's going to go and select the whole thing. However, if you hold the Option key down when you do that, you can be specific in what you select. So I'm going to go click and drag, hold my Option key down, and notice that I'm not doing the whole sentence. I'm just doing that. I can do the same thing right here in the middle of the paragraph, not that I would want to, but if I hold the Option key down, sorry, my Mac and I are fighting because I'm on a Windows machine, but look at this, I can select just that stuff there, and then I can copy it, bold it, do whatever I want with it. It's just as if I had selected it. So that's a really handy function when you get, especially if you've been doing a lot of tables and you're doing them properly with tabs and stuff like that, then you can just quickly get that whole column of information. You don't have to convert anything to a table and then grab it and stuff like that. I used to use those functions all the time. Those things I used just made life so much easier trying to get stuff done. Oh, Google Forms Analytics. I just discovered this the other day. I don't know how long it's been there, but here's a form that I've created. And as the owner or an editor, I can go in and I get this nice little scale of information. Now, previously, here's this URL up here. The only way I could get anyone else to see this is either I grab a PDF of it, but if I wanted to give them access to this data, I would have to give them edit access to the form, and I didn't want to ever do that. So, I mean, this is kind of nice. We saw before how I could copy this, paste it into a Google Doc, copy this one, paste it in a Google Doc, and it would be a live link to this data here. So any changes would automatically update all over the place. But I don't want to give people access to this. Well, if you go to the top here, when you're in the responses, and I just want to remember the terminology, if you put in View Analytics at the end here, so I'm going to go into here, View Analytics. What I get is, notice, I don't have all the controls there. I just get a view of this. Now, I don't know why Google doesn't actually have a link there that says click on here to share this survey, but this is exactly what it does. It doesn't get, you don't need edit access to it because watch this. I'm going to open this up in an incognito window. And remember, incognito is not logged into anything, so I can still read that information. It's a great way of being able to display the information without having anyone else edit it or make changes to the form. And then as stuff gets updated, it gets updated here. So that's a nice little trick there. Just throw in View Analytics on the end there and then post that link to wherever you want to go. Last thing I want to talk about is pre-filled Google Forms. So if you have a form, and let's say it's something that let's say it's a workshop, for example. And so you've got 10 workshops. So you're going to create 10 different forms, but they all say the same thing. I want your name, I want your email, et cetera, et cetera. So what you can do, though, is Google has something called pre-filled forms. And what that basically means is, hey, here's this form I've got going here. So there's the form. But instead of creating a different one for each of these sessions, I'm just going to have a field here called name of session, right? So that way I only have one spreadsheet. This is where the name of the session goes in, and I can use this one single form and just keep reusing it. The trick is using the pre-filled aspect of it. And if you go up into the more thing here, you'll see get pre-filled link. So what happens is it says, okay, here's the form. Why don't you fill this out with what you want? Well, I want everyone else to fill out this stuff here, but I want to fill out the name of the session. So we'll call it Dogs and Cats Unite. The date of session is July 9th, 2022. That's all. I want the user to use everything else. Now I'm going to hit get link. And then it generates this. Let's look at that. There it is, Dogs and Cats Unite. So this is what the end user is going to see. I now just copy this link. And that link that I copy will look something like this. So there it is, last name, first name, phone number, name of session, date of session. And if you take a look in the URL here, what it's done is it's actually using the URL codes here to pre-populate it. So this here entry.13 blah, 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 whatever it is, that's the name of this field. Same thing with this here, that's the name of this field. I just put in here what I want. So I could go into here and then put in bird plus, whoops, the typing, I can't even see if I did that. Come on, oh yeah, bird plus sanctuary. And there it's changed there. So that's a really easy way of going, and rather than having 15 different or 20 different forms, you just have one. They all go into one spreadsheet, but you guys know how to use filter views and stuff like that. So you can easily create reports to show you here's all the stuff. This is what I've done for years. And in fact, what I have is I have a spreadsheet that I put in the name of the spreadsheet. It automatically looks up all this stuff because the field identifiers aren't going to change. And then it just basically says, okay, I'm going to take whatever Trevor's placed in this field here. I'm going to put a plus sign instead of the spaces there. And it automatically generates those links for me. I don't have to keep coming back to Google Forms to create it. I just have this basically formula created that just says, take this text, put it in here where it needs to go, and Bob's your uncle, it's all done. So that's really handy. I notice a lot of people when they first start with forms and stuff like that, they think I need a form for everything, even though it's the same thing. And so the title will say, you know, whatever the name of the event is. But this is a much easier way, a lot easier to manage, and just a lot faster. That's it. Questions? Nope. Okay, then let me just stop the recording.